This is the Your Money Hour podcast. I am your host, Dakota Grady, and I have a guest on the show today, Bill McCleskey of Mitech Partners out of Nashville, Tennessee. So before we get started, thank you all for joining us. I have listeners in the U.S., Germany, Singapore. So welcome to the show. Go ahead,
man,
Bill. You got the floor.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for the opportunity to share and to speak with you, man. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your generosity to come and join the show.
Definitely.
So tell everybody about who you are and what you do.
Well, Bill McCleskey, I'm an entrepreneur and born and raised right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and really saw opportunity to build businesses early on, as early as 7 or 8 years old. Have my own Kool-Aid stand, out of the house. But in high school and college, I always had ideas and was always money motivated, man. And realized if I got out here and hustled, I could generally write my own paycheck. And so started a ton of businesses in college and fell flat on my face, but learned a lot, learned from those mistakes. And when I got out of college, I went for it. I started selling any and everything from insurance to T-shirt business and promotional business, promoting concerts, everything. And again, man, I had some success, but then I would have super big setbacks. But along the way, just learning and growing and developing as a human being and as an entrepreneur. But my current business is a company called Mitech Partners, and we're a telecommunications firm that has been in existence for 7 years. And our focus is telecommunication services for businesses. And, I came up with this idea, Dakota, when I was working at Comcast as a sales rep. And Comcast, we know, is the biggest cable company in the country. And I was a business sales rep every day, knocking on doors, running appointments, cold calling, doing whatever I could do, networking. And it came to my attention that a lot of my customers didn't really like Comcast. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a necessary evil. They needed the internet service or they needed the TV service, but they really didn't want to deal with Comcast. But they didn't mind dealing with me. And they said, you represent Comcast well, you provide great service. We like you as a person. And hey, I've got other locations. I've got other companies. I've got friends with companies. Why don't you set them up? And a lot of times I couldn't because, number one, it was out of my territory, or it was in a city or an area where Comcast wasn't serviceable. So that's how I came up with the idea to start Mitech. We represent all the carriers from AT&T to Spectrum and Windstream and DirecTV and all these carriers nationwide so that we can provide a consultative approach. Companies come to us and they can shop over 100 carriers. And we've just been rolling for about 7 years, man, making it happen.
Wow. So let's unpack the lessons you learned before you started Mitech. Like, what are some of the challenges that you had and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges that any entrepreneur faces is the risk factor, right? It's, how do I eliminate or, decrease the risk of this habit? Because there's, what does the statistics say? Only 1 out of 10 businesses make it, or 9 out of 10 businesses fail, in the first year or the first 5 years. So how can we eliminate the risk so that we succeed? Like we beat that stat. And so early on, that's what I was trying to do. But I realized that I sold a product that people had to buy. And when I exchanged that product for money, then that transaction was over, and that sat with me for a while. It really didn't hit me hard until I started working at Comcast. And I realized we're selling a service, number one. Number two, an essential service. Like people actually need this, right? You don't have to convince people that you need internet. You need phone service to run your business. Like people already know they need that. I was getting paid a commission when I sold a deal, but I only got a one-time commission. And guess what? That customer paid Comcast every month. And I said, well, Comcast is getting money every month, but they just pay me once. And so I wanted to get on the other side of the table. So in terms of eliminating the risk, for me, that's one way that I set out to do it, to get in a business that has a recurring revenue model, or to create a recurring revenue model for whatever business I got into. So that was one big lesson I learned for sure.
Awesome. I know in your class, basically TGIF, or you had a sales
Yeah,
boot
sales
camp.
boot camp. Yep.
Correct. And TGIF stands for?
The grind includes Friday. Indeed.
So talk about that for a
Yes.
minute. I know that I went through your boot camp last February, I believe, and
Yep.
I learned some lessons. Actually, I met you about 2 years ago. You spoke at a church in Nashville, and
Yeah.
you did a speech about basically, I think, PhD.
Yep.
Talk about the PhD, brother. Talk about
Oh
that for
man.
a moment.
Yeah, so the PhD, I'm big on acronyms if you can't tell, but PhD stands for 3 principles or to develop a winning psychology in order to excel. The H stands for hustle. Okay, we got to grind, right? We got to hustle. We got to get up and go after it every day. And the D stands for discipline. Discipline pays dividends. Okay, so those 3. One day I was just sitting down taking notes, and I asked myself, what does it really take to be successful as an entrepreneur? I mean, this is a true story. Okay, I was literally like saying, okay, I got to do this speech, and I want to talk to people about what it takes to be successful or to make progress as an entrepreneur. And I said, well, you got to have the right mindset, you got to have the right psychology, you got to have the right hustle, and you got to be disciplined with your hustle and your psychology. And then I looked at those words and I said, wow, PhD. So that was easy for me to just.
So it paused a little bit, but basically having a PhD, having a mindset, hustle, and then the discipline to be persistent and consistent in your activity. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Having the right psychology, having the right hustle, and having the right discipline in your hustle and your psychology, all working together. When those 3 integrate, I mean, you can't lose.
Awesome. So what I learned in your class was basically principles of prospect, follow up, network.
Mm-hmm.
Go in detail about that. Like, if any business is going to succeed, whether it's
Yep.
service business or product business, they need to prospect, follow up, and network. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those are 3 activities that I believe every entrepreneur needs to conduct every day. Especially when you're first getting started. I mean, you got to get the ball rolling. You're trying to attract customers, and in order to have a business, guess what we need? We need money, but who brings us money? Customers, right? And so we need to have a daily regimen for attracting those customers. And there's 3 things that we should do, and you mentioned it: or prospecting first, following up with those prospects, and then networking. And if you're not doing those things, you're not working. I tell my sales guys, if you're not prospecting, following up, and networking, whatever you're doing you're not working. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get busy, right? And we get busy putting together a proposal or a presentation or driving to appointments or doing research or doing personal and professional development. But trust me, none of that is work, because none of it brings you customers, right? What brings you customers? Talking to a potential customer, prospecting, talking to a potential referral partner, following up with a potential customer or referral partner, and then networking, which is creating and nurturing new relationships. So, I mean, that's all that matters. And no, you're not going to spend 10 hours a day prospecting, following up, and networking. But as you have your busy day, as you do your paperwork, as you do your research, understand that if you do nothing else, you need to be prospecting, following up, and networking. Now, you can allocate time for paperwork, allocate time with drive time and all this stuff. But if you don't prospect, follow up, and network every day, then your business is dying.
Wow. So you've had your sales boot camp, and tell some of the success stories. Do you have any one you could share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll share 2 quick ones. I was working with a gentleman, a software developer, and he had just started his business, had 0 clients. And, he came to the boot camp, and after the boot camp, about a week later, I sat down with him for about 45 minutes and we just mapped out a plan. I said, listen, man, here's what you need to be doing. Prospect, follow-up network, block your time. You know, when are you going to prospect? 2 hours. When are you going to follow up? 2 hours. When are you going to network? 2 hours a day. Okay. Now that we have that schedule, and I call that scheduling your success. Now that we've got that schedule, what are you going to say when you prospect? So we worked out, you know, kind of like a script or some feedback, some responses and all that. And then the process that he would take or the action that he would take after. He's got a client paying him $24,000 a year based on that boot camp. Another quick story is a young lady who owns a staffing company. Last year, her company as a whole made $5,000 last year. This year, we were working together heavy earlier this year, and to date, her company bills over $20,000 a month to her clients. So she's got a $250,000 business, whereas last year she made $5,000 total. Why? Because I noticed she was super busy, okay? She was very busy, but she was not talking to potential customers every day. She was not talking to potential, you know, strategic partners. And I said, you need to pick up the phone and call these people. And she started doing it. She started emailing. She started reaching out to them on LinkedIn. And guess what? They responded. And she had a meeting. And she closed business. And now she's got a great business. She's going to be a 7-figure business in the next 2 or 3 years.
Wow. Wow. So at what point did you realize that, or let me phrase it. What activity did you do to turn a figure from your business or turn a key in your business to say, this is going to work? Because, I mean, I know we talked about the follow-up, prospect, and networking, but out of the three, which one do you think is more pivotal for you and your business?
Yeah, that's a really good question because we always hear people say there's money in the follow-up, right? But I truly believe probably the most important activity is prospecting because that's what gets everything started. You know, you got to get started. You know, some people are really good with jumping in the middle of the conversation and when it's already going. But how many people in sales, they call them openers and closers, right? Some people are really good openers. Some people are really good closers. I think good entrepreneurs have to be both. We have to develop both skills. But if you never get it going, you ain't got nobody to follow up with. You know what I mean? So I think the most important one, especially early on, is for you or for us as entrepreneurs to be great at prospecting, to be great at starting conversations. Most deals are closed after the 8th follow-up. Okay, and I may have those numbers. It may be the 5th or 8th follow-up, but most people don't make a decision until after the 5th or the 8th follow-up, depending on the industry, right? And most salespeople only follow up once. They make the initial call and then they follow up, and then they're lazy, right? So I preach to my sales guys all the time: follow up, follow up. What's up with this deal? We only followed up 3 times. Let's go. We got about 8 more times to go, right? And listen, sometimes I look at new customers that we signed on 3 or 4 new customers today. And sometimes I go into CRM and I look at how many times we actually had to follow up with this customer. How many times did we call them and leave a voicemail and send an email and go back and forth with the proposal? And sometimes it's 8, 10, 12 times. And that's okay, as long as you know your numbers. But then even going to networking is really, I have this concept in business called create, sustain, advance. So when you create momentum in your business, that's prospecting, okay? When you sustain the momentum, that's following up. But when you advance the momentum, that's networking. And the way to really advance, another word for that is scaling your business. And when you create strategic partnerships with people that can become referral partners for you, that's how you grow your business outside of yourself and outside of your sphere of influence to advance it.
That's awesome, because you want to create that momentum if you want to have a business that's actual business. Because if you're just an employee, or if you're a single entrepreneur, sole proprietor, and it's just you, technically you're not in business, because business makes money whether you're working there or you're not.
Right.
So if that's your goal, to make a business, do what Bill says. Scale your business by having strategic partnerships. And
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about that more in detail about having those partnerships and how did you create yours?
Yeah, definitely. So I think every business has a strategic alliance or an affiliate program, and we just call it a referral partner program in our business. But even if you look at big businesses, Amazon and Coca-Cola and, Verizon, they're all affiliated with a similar company in the industry or that has some synergy with them. And they basically are sharing referrals. Comcast does it with Verizon because Comcast doesn't sell cell phone service, or if they do, they're using Verizon's network. So both services kind of complement each other. But I'm here to tell you, every business should have a referral partner program, and these are like-minded individuals of your industry or business that will sell a similar product or similar service, but y'all run across the same customers. So for us, it's IT firms or IT consultants, who don't sell telecom like we do. We're great referral partners for each other. I may have a customer that we sold a phone system to or internet service to who may need an IT guy to do some cabling, to bring on some new software, new hardware. And so, we have that great synergy, and I call it filling in the gaps. A real estate agent, a great referral partner for them may be a loan officer or a title person. A web designer, a great referral partner for them may be a graphic designer. So every industry, I think, has some complementary, partners that we all should link up with and say, hey, let's share referrals. We're talking to the same customers, and it's actually better for the customer. So win-win-win situation. But I just set up my program from the beginning, very simple. I had a tab on my website and it said, become a partner, fill out this easy short form. And when people filled out the form, I would meet with them for 30 minutes and say, hey, what kind of customers are you working with? How do you find them? And what are you looking for? And how can I help your business? And we just started sharing referrals back and forth. And today, man, we have over 300 partners now. There are over 300 IT companies or consultants nationwide, who are in a position to send us referrals. We get referrals every day. I mean, literally, think about that. Think about having a business where you got referrals every single day. And we close 86% of our referrals. So, I mean, that's a beautiful place to be in, but it started with just me, right? And building those relationships. And that's why you got to prospect, follow up, and network every day. So my goal when I first started was to meet with one person a day that I could build a strategic partnership with like that. So that was just 5 a week. That's 20 a month, but it's 240 a year. And after 7 years, you're going to build some good relationships. So that's how it works.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome because it's easy, lets you know the power of networking and also that there is enough out there for everybody to share.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So in terms of how did you incorporate, say, family time in your schedule and outside activity? How do you incorporate that in your business? Because you built it from nothing to over $1 million in sales. How do you incorporate and have balance in this kind of environment?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like early on, I wasn't married. I've been married. Well, I'll celebrate 4 years next month.
Awesome.
But, early on, I wasn't married, so I could just work 8 to faint. I tell people I work 9 days a week, 30 hours a day, okay? And that was my commitment to myself. I said, I'm going to put 120% in and leave it all out there on the field. And I actually had full custody of my son, and being a single dad. So that was tough, but I had a lot of help, man. My parents are here and they would help me all the time. They used to get my son like almost every weekend and just help out big time. So I had a support system, but even being married, man, it's just about communication. You gotta communicate with your spouse about, hey, it's about painting the vision. Okay. We got to paint the vision. Hey, 10 years from now, here's where we're going to be. Wow. Okay, now, here's what we got to do to get there. Okay? We may have to sacrifice here and there, and let's not buy the new house yet. Let's wait. Or I'm gonna be spending this type of time at the office and all that type of stuff. So, man, but my spouse is amazing because she understands, and she's a working woman in corporate America, and it's very demanding for her. So she gets it as well. So, but communication is key.
Awesome. So I know you tell a story about think when you started, well, tell us about when you left your job. You worked at Comcast. Like, at what point do you say I'm gone?
Yeah. Well, I said I'm gone when I knew they was about to fire me. Because see, I started my company when I still worked there, and they found out. So, my boss called me in the office, and the sales director was in there. I said, this can't be good. I felt like I was going in the principal's office. And so it's very familiar, actually. But I walked in, and they said, hey, it's come to our attention. You started this side company, Mitech, and this can't happen. We're going to have to suspend you with pay pending an investigation. And I said, wait, you're going to suspend me and pay me? And that was on a Friday. It was actually payday Friday. It was the Friday where we got our base and commission check. So I just got a nice little direct deposit. And I went home and thought about that thing. And I said, you know what? I am going to quit. I went back. I looked at the money I had saved. I said, I can do it. We can do it. And I went back on Monday, man, and I turned in a resignation letter to HR, my boss, and my director. And I said, I'll resign. I'm out. And don't worry about your little investigation, okay? Don't, save your time. I'm gone. And I left that dropping off those resignation letters and ran probably 3 or 4 or 5 appointments that day. Closed all up, 100%.
Wow.
And that told me right there, I said, yo, this is it. I'm going to make it happen. So I've been running and grinding ever since. So, yeah, that's the story, man. I started when I was there. They found out, so they was about to fire me anyway.
All right, so as we wrap up, give us some tips or some advice. Like, if you had an entrepreneur starting their business, or they say we're about to get fired from their job, they have a skill or something they can sell, what advice could you give that person? Because I'm sure you were scared when you quit your job, but what advice could you give the person?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because I was scared. And it's not necessarily because I did not have the skill. I was pretty good, I thought, at what I did. I was number 20 in the country, number 25 in the country. But what made me scared was I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if this independent company could do it like I did behind the mask of a big company like Comcast. So I had a knot in my stomach for the first week or two, really, running those appointments and everything. But the way I fought it, and the advice or encouragement I would give people is to just work like crazy. It's amazing when fear. The fear, there's an acronym for fear, and it's false evidence appearing real, right? So fear is an emotion, and it's not even real though, right? It's just us projecting something that hasn't even happened, and it's probably not going to happen, right? Oh, my business not going to work, or people going to talk crazy about me. I'm going to fall flat on my face. I'm going to lose my house, all this stuff, right? None of it ever happened, right? But the way I fought it, and I used to tell myself early on, Bill, breathe. I'll be in the car driving to an appointment, right? Just because I didn't know if it was gonna work, but I just went to work, right? I worked my butt off, and I'm telling you, if you're not working to exhaustion, and I'm talking about calls, follow-up network, prospecting, research, becoming a better person, personal and professional development, all this stuff every single day, then it may not work. But I knew that if I put 120% of everything that I had in, then it was more than likely going to work. And that's why I wrote a book, man, called Get Off Your Assets. Because I learned that, as a lot of entrepreneurs think, we need all these external assets or resources in order to be successful. But in reality, everything we have is what we need. So use what you got. Use your assets, get off of them, put them to use, and that's all you need to press forward.
Awesome. So how can people find out about you, Mitech, and your book as well?
Yeah, definitely. I just go to my website, BillMcCleskey.com, BillMcCleskey.com. And everything is there about my company, Mitech, about the book, about other programs, about the Grind Includes Friday, and all that good stuff. So BillMcCleskey.com for sure.
Awesome. Bill, thank you for your time. And this is Your Money Hour podcast. Check it out and share it with your folks online, social media. Thanks for your time, Bill.
You got it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.